means that anything that's said is on the record. We're going to introduce ourselves around the table. If you want to be recognized and you're not on the community board or not on the committee, just raise your hand. You can't call out, please. My name is Walter Sanchez. I'm from Maspeth. I'm the first vice chair of the community board, and I chair the land use committee.
I'm Gary Giordano. I'm the district manager of the community board.
Ted Brandon, member of the land use committee, member of the executive committee, and wearing my hat with the Weaver Local Development Corporation and our land district with this group.
Vincent Arcuri, chairperson of Community Board 5.
Pat Grayson, member of Community Board 5 and a member of this committee.
Kathy Sumsky, community board member, non-voting member on the land use committee.
Peggy O'Kane, secretary of the executive committee, member of the land use committee.
And Kathy Massey and Glendale is a member of the executive
Oh,
committee.
I'm from Ridgewood.
Just went out to get coffee. So we're here to talk about discussions, concerns about the knockdown center at 5219 Flushing Avenue in Maspeth, potentially having events with 600 or more people and selling alcoholic beverages at this former factory site. It was turned over to this committee. It's a liquor license request, and it was turned over to this committee by the chair. And we're here to talk about it today. And we have a few guests, I guess, from the Knockdown Center. You can introduce yourselves, and we'll get started.
My name is Tyler Myers. I'm a manager at what would be Knockdown Center.
I'm David Sklar, and I own the Knockdown Center.
And I'm Michael Merck, also a manager at
Michael
Merck, M-E-R-C-K.
Okay. So we're gonna first hear. And I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about the place, and maybe make a presentation or talk about what you plan to have here. Some of the concerns are that now you've had a couple of events at the place. You've had a couple of weddings, and you've had a few events, art events. And our concern really is, and the only reason you're here is because you're applying for a liquor license for 600 or more people. Now, you're saying for that kind of a liquor license, why can't you just apply for an event license like Flushing Meadows Terrace on the Park?
We have, like you said, we have done events, and we've always applied for both a temporary public assembly permit and also a temporary beer and wine permit from the State Liquor Authority for everything that we've done. And their guidance is that an address can pull 4 per calendar year, and so we've hit that, and we've we haven't been denied a temporary beer and wine, but we've exceeded what their guidance is. And so, in good faith, we want to pursue a larger business. We use those events to sort of determine how the building could operate, how best it could function, how it could happen safely, and all that sort of stuff. And we've done that. And so now we're pursuing a permanent PA, and then also a liquor license to serve that permanent PA.
And how many special event permits are you allowed to get in a year's time?
The guidance is for special event permits from the DOB or from the SLA?
From the SLA.
From the SLA. Their guidance is 4.
Okay.
I don't think it's a hard 4.
Okay.
But that's what their guidance is. In 12 contiguous months, so it's not necessarily a calendar year, but it's instead 12 contiguous months.
Our concern, what I hear from our committee members and other people, is that it's going to be a nightclub or a bar for more than 400, 500, 600 people. And we're not sure about the parking there. We're not sure about actually serving that many people being a club. What are your so that's a concern. Can you answer that? And then what are your plans for parking?
So the first thing, we will not be a club. The event that we had, it was a party. It was over at 10 p.m. on the weekend day that it happened. We're just, I'm not interested in being up late and doing that whole thing. And so we're not going to be a club. And I think we've tried to be clear and say that both at the meeting last month, but then also just in general, that we want to be an arts center. And it could be that an arts center is hard, like a hard thing to understand. It seems too broad or too general. So if it's useful, I found Wikipedia actually has a definition for art center, and I thought it was instructive. So it says an art center is distinct from an art gallery or art museum. An art center is a functional community center with a specific remit to encourage arts practice and to provide facilities such as theater space, gallery space, venues for musical performance, workshop areas, educational facilities, technical equipment, etc. In the United States, art centers are generally either establishments geared towards exposing, generating, or making accessible art to arts-interested individuals in its community. So that does cover a broad array of different events. And of the events that we've had, 40% of them have been pure art-related. We've had one recurring art dance party, what you call a dance party. Again, it was over at 10 p.m., so I wouldn't refer to it as a club. But other events have
Clubs
been
have dance
sculpture
parties.
shows, dance
Art centers
performances,
don't.
things of that nature. Things entirely appropriate for an art center. And it's our contention, and I think it's true, that a liquor license is is normal for an art center. For instance, PS1 has a liquor license, Museum of Modern Art has a liquor license, the Met has one,
The
the
same
Lincoln
license you're
Center.
applying for more?
But do they have dance
Similar, they're all a
parties?
little bit different depending on building setup.
Right.
But yes, of those, there are on-premises licenses. yeah.
So you said PS1, I'm sorry, what were the other?
PS1, MoMA, the Met, the New Museum, Lincoln Center, sort of goes on and on. I mean, and some of the ballrooms that we hope to also challenge with our programming, Hammerstein, Roseland, all have a license. And generally, these cultural events or art center events are things that people go to in their leisure time. And it can be somewhat expected to have a glass of wine if you're in an art opening, or have a beer if you're seeing a band perform, or have a intermission cocktail if you're at a dance performance. So for us, it's not only an important part of what we think the economic model is to sustain and maintain and beautify this 110-year-old building that we want, that we really think will be a centerpiece and really be an active part of what makes it such a great art center. But it also is just in context with the programming that we hope to do as of right under our zoning.
Okay. So, I mean, you say you don't plan to have, to be like a club. Do you plan to have musical events there, DJ or even live bands there at times?
Sure. Yeah, again, under the remit of Art Center. And so that would be a percentage, a portion of what will be a much more robust program of all kinds of events, including educational events, events geared towards families, all sorts of things, a true sort of community art center. And I should bounce back and say parking-wise. It's a 3-acre lot. We have a front yard that will be used as the main entrance from the sidewalk onto the lot. It's very big. Part of the public assembly permit or restrictions that the DOB is reviewing is they'll dictate a certain number of parking lots or parking spots. And of course, we'll abide by that, and we have the space that we can dedicate what we think that they'll indicate we need to have, and what they've indicated in initial list of objections to initial plan drawings. And so that would be dedicated, that would be on-site, that would be ours and controlled by us, and it will meet the DOB specifications.
And David,
I don't know.
so David, you're the owner.
I am.
Thank you for coming here tonight.
Thank you for
It's
inviting me.
important that,
Thank you.
the owner come and really talk to us about what's going on. Can you give us a little history of